Welcome to the Digitally Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. I am joined today by the returning guest, San Jose City College assistant linebackers coach and now father of three, who had just had his newborns the last time he was on the podcast last year. Jesus Carbajal. Jesus, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm actually coming from their room right now. I got two cribs right behind me. They're not
Oh
in
my
here, thank
goodness.
goodness. You'll be hearing them cry.
Yeah, I remember, before we started, you're like, yeah, because I had to push this up an hour, and you said, oh, you might hear my crying twins in the background, and I was like, oh, cool. They basically got shouted out last year, and now it's a double kind of, I
I
get to actually
know.
hear them.
Now they're here, man. And mom's now downstairs taking care of them. And then I got baby girl asleep in her room now. So I got
Awesome.
my time. I'm good.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. That's awesome, man. It must be such a blessing, you know what I mean? Because,
hmm
fatherhood, I can only imagine, obviously you must be obviously insanely busy, kind of taking care of all your kids. But it just must be such a blessing, right? To kind of have, more additions to the family.
It is so unbelievable to just see little mini you,
Yeah.
and then like mixes like with their own personality. And it's just so funny. And you put yourself in their shoes, like, oh, I remember when I was 3 and I was asking my dad for the same stuff that my 3-year-old asked me for.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun. It really is a blessing, man. And I'm very proud to be a dad. And I just, I really try to do my best to raise them as best as I can. They drive me crazy sometimes. I want to pull my hair out, but I understand that that's normal. I've been told that that's normal and it's okay to be stressed out a little bit, but I'm here and I'm live and I'm awake and they're all good and happy and healthy, man. So I can't
100%.
complain. I love it.
100%, man. And that's kind of it. The kind of the return factor. What you get in return from being a father. And kind of instilling those principles. And actually, a good segue to kind of what we know last time and this time what we're talking about. You're coaching. Kind of with SJCC. So, kind of talk to me about kind of because I remember last time it was difficult in terms of kind of the pandemic kind of still being in full swing.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned kind of the challenges because you hadn't actually met Wink in person. You had to, meet him in Zoom. And
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
kind of talk to me about how the last year has been since then. Have things changed? Have you been able to meet with your coaches and players in person? How have practices been? Kind of talk me through that.
Okay, so since the last time we spoke, we were all able to come together as a staff back in the beginning of 2021.
Okay.
We started having our practices in the spring. So I was finally able to meet my guys. We had so many Zoom meetings that lasted hours and hours, and I was drawing stuff up on screen. But now we're able to apply everything that I wanted to apply with them and get their feet right. And we ended up practicing through the spring and summer, and we got through a season. We finished the season 3-7. Um, of course, we want more wins, but I'll take the fact that we had a very competitive team, and we lost about 5 games, under 10 points, I believe it was. So we're right there. We're right there, and we had such a lack of depth in some places, like offensive line, and so there was struggles coming back after a whole year off with the pandemic and people not sure if they can play. There was many obstacles with the virus and the vaccine, so I ended up getting vaccinated because there would have been a lot of trouble with all unvaccinated guys. If there was somebody that tested positive, all the unvaccinated guys would have to sit out for at least a week or so. And that was coaches included. And since I'm the only linebacker coach, if I were to not be there because I'm, positive, then who's gonna get my guys better? Who's gonna watch them and make them, do what I need to see them do, So I got everything I needed to do taken care of. Thankfully, there wasn't much issues with people getting sick. Here and there was. I lost a linebacker like twice due to that. But, just lack of depth, the pandemic, lurking around still. The whole vaccinated versus unvaccinated debate was, that started affecting players as well. But, we had a good team and everyone was bought in. Everyone was excited when things were going well, and when things were not going well, they were hungry. They weren't giving up on each other. They were losing close games when they shouldn't have, literally down to the wire. We had a game lost due to a blown call. We had a whistle blown on a touchdown pass, balls in the air, and then we ended up losing by 3 points to that one. But that was against the conference champions, So right there with the lack of depth. So we have been spending this off season, us coaches, just recruiting, getting the right guys in. We already got a lot of guys saying they're coming in. I'm spending hours and hours on my little Google spreadsheet, writing down numbers of guys. I got so many numbers in my phone, just, guys I'm talking to throughout the day. I'm having a blast. I'm living a good dream. I'm back in my old school where I got to win a ring, and, I'm just trying to win another ring as a coach, man, and yeah, like you said, like giving back and the whole uh, switching generations, like me being a child and, looking at my kids and saying, like putting myself in their shoes. I'm kind of like in that situation as a coach. I'm now coaching these kids who are playing for this school like I have, and trying to give them an opportunity to be successful like the coaches above me were able to do.
And obviously with that, I think that's a really important point, kind of the success factor, right? Obviously, you mentioned kind of how you guys split, 5-5, for the season, but with the losses, right, of the offensive line and of the, and also with the kind of, new incoming, sounds like you had a really kind of robust incoming class, of new, either transfers or incoming freshmen, right? So it sounds like, with all those things considered, if you were able to go toe to toe the conference champions, and we'll get into the season in a bit, but pretty much, kind of, it sounds like, you guys pretty much fared well. Yeah, actually really well. I mean, for everything considered, because remember last time you were on the show, you mentioned, hey, like, I haven't met anyone, we've just been doing Zoom, but now you get to kind of be in the room, you get to kind of, whiteboard things, you get to kind of, drop schemes. We'll get into that a bit, but, obviously I think it sounds like, you guys did pretty well, so yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we did it. We did what we can do, man. And, it was a joy for all of us to just get this thing rolling finally.
And so kind of talk to me about when you first started, when you first met the players earlier this year, the beginning of 2021, kind of what was your approach with the kind of the new incoming, class and guys who were returning? Kind of what was your approach or your strategy to kind of, really kind of get the buy-in, right, from your linebackers, and also kind of, right. So kind of talk to me about that.
I just came to them as myself. I let them know who I am, and hey, I'm excited to be here, man. So I'm gonna be real high on energy. And we ran and did our drills, and I kind of ran in it a little bit too to kind of show them what I wanted. And I was just myself. I don't think you should go in any other different way. Just got to, if you want real energy coming to you, you got to give it out to them. And if they learn to appreciate who you are, then that's where the bonds build, and that's where the chemistry builds. And so, yeah, I just came in as myself, and I let them know, hey, I'm all about this. If you're all about this, let's make this shit happen. Let's work. We only got 10, 15 minutes of indie time throughout the day. So I only got you guys for so much time. And I spend hours during the day just trying to perfect this 15 minutes. So let's do this thing. And then let's go do our team drills and, do our thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't mean to interrupt you, but kind of what you said kind of just jolted my memory to tomorrow's guest, who also, was on the show back in March. Basically, Coach Nate Tia of De Anza, right? Basically, we talked about kind of, his approach for OBM, Oh Believe Me, because Oh Believe Me, they work with Winning Circle, which is kind of like, with high school students, with the pandemic, right? Because a lot of the schools, last year, as you can also attest to, right, even at the JUCO level, the seasons were shortened, right? So they basically started Winning Circle to kind of get these seniors and get all these other guys out there so they could, have some games, have some scrimmages, and kind of to your point about vaccination, granted everyone is vaccinated, they can get out there and get some film, for the colleges in the 4 years, right? And so kind of, to your point, kind of getting involved and kind of being, kind of really in the mix of things. That was from the last time, I spoke with Coach Nate Tia, Coach Maya, and Coach Holmes, right? They basically said the same thing, like, whether they're at De Anza, and they had actually, so it's funny, they had not stepped foot on campus even in March for over a year on De Anza campus. So they're working with all their guys on Zoom, right? The same way you were, right? And essentially kind of what I take away from that is that, as long as you can really show that you're there and you're present in the moment, right? And that's also kind of, same thing with game time, with game day or game time, right? Situational awareness, being present for your team, being present, for your assignment, being present to know your, kind of what your role is, right? I think as a coach, when you get involved a little bit more, you get that buy-in a lot more quickly. Because, for example, some coaches preach about concepts, right? Okay, move your feet. Well, why am I moving my feet, right? Okay, look. So why do my eyes need to be searching? We had Levon Kirkland on yesterday. All-time great linebacker.
Yeah, man, that's awesome right there.
Yeah, yeah, and so kind of, and obviously now you're coaching the position, and Pretty much, he said the same thing. It's like, when he got to the pros, one thing he noticed from the coaches, and even at Clemson, when he was there, he said basically, like, the coaches felt like, oh yeah, you have the potential to be one of the all-time greats, but you have to just work on little things. Like Matt Millen, when he was at the Super Bowl, he said LeVon, he's like, I have no doubt you have what it takes to be the best in this league, but essentially you just have to kind of work a little more, just kind of being present and trusting your eyes. And Matt, having played in 4 Super Bowls and winning 4 rings, right? It's easy to get that buy-in. You having played JUCO, right? It's easy to get that buy-in, right? Me also having played the same JUCO, right? And Coach Wink, your coach is my coach, and we'll get kind of that in a bit. Was my coach at West Valley over 12 years ago.
Yep.
Easy for me to get that buy-in when I coached at Whitney High School 2 years ago, right? So, and when I got involved, for me, I wore the pads, right? And I beat my receivers at the line, right? So you can either beat me at the line or get beaten by the bags I'm wearing, and that's that's what I think is most effective, right? You can talk about concepts all you want, but the more you're able to get involved with your teams within practices and scrimmages, the more that what you say will resonate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of, what's your perspective on that?
Being very detail oriented with kind of showing them, yeah, you got to move your feet, but why do you have to move your feet? Well, if I don't move my feet, then this guy who's already moving his feet is already working his way upfield. He's getting yards, or he's getting open. He's going lateral on me. If I'm not moving my feet, he's only going to gain more separation on me. And if I'm supposed to cover this dude, or if I'm supposed to fill that gap, I'm not doing it as effectively, right?
Right.
If I'm not reading my key and attacking it like I'm supposed to, that split second may turn a 1 yard gain into a 3 yard gain. What if it's 3rd and 2?
Right.
Little tiny things. And kind of being involved and present and trying to make, if to explain that to them and explain why and kind of walk through it, and, or give them sort of examples, that's what I try to do to kind of make them remember it, or trying to, have it resonate and stick.
Exactly. Register.
And I know it's hard because there's so much the process for them, and it's so much faster than high school, and they're young. I realize, like, I tell them some things they don't do, and I'm like, why aren't you doing this? Well, 10 years ago, I wasn't doing that shit either, and my coach was telling me every play, right?
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that, because that was trigger flashback for me when I was coaching at Whitney 2 years ago. The coach, we just finished. We were 0-10 the previous year, so when I got there, we were with this 0-10 team, right? But essentially, the coach, he basically said, and the psychology, right? To your point, you can't just yell and get on guys and expect them to kind of just buy in or have it register. No, you have to basically kind of, like you said, it's almost a psychological approach to kind of be more patient. You know what I mean? Because obviously, with the youth factor involved and the kind of the newness to the scheme and the style of of play, within your respective college, essentially that's also going to be really effective, not just for your season, but also for their development wherever they end up going. If they continue to playing, past SJCC, right?
And if you're patient with that too, there's going to be an opportunity to show them an example,
right?
You know what I mean? So if he's messing up on this certain, say he's not rerouting somebody, and he's not doing it during indies, and he doesn't see it, but somebody's wide open because he's not hitting this dude.
Yeah.
Well, I can yell at him now, or I can kind of explain it to him, and then know tomorrow, that's going to be on the film. Hey, dude, that's what we were talking about, right? This is what happened when you don't reroute. Now you can see it. Now you got the bird's eye view. Dude's wide open on you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. See,
patience. You're right.
Patience is key. Patience is a virtue, and it's key.
I'm not saying I'm always like that, but
absolutely right. That's why I'm reiterating the point, because it's hard to maintain patience when you're trying to win, right? Mm-hmm. And essentially, when you're coaching these young guys, that's why I'm reiterating this point. I lost my shit, dude. Like I can't tell you. Like, I lost my shit. I was like, I had to yell at them. I said, do you know why? Like, I literally said, do you know why the fucking corners can't get inside you? If you let them get 3 steps inside you, you're beaten. You're beaten. 3 yards, 3 steps. That's all it takes for the wideouts or the corner to win the matchup.
Yeah.
And that's why my receivers coach, at West Valley, Coach Dub. Oh, sorry, SJCC, right? Coach Dub, basically, he said, and now the Ravens, right? Coach Dub, you know what I'm saying? So basically, he would always say, never let the corner will always say, or the cornerbacks, the DB's coach will always say, never let that receiver get inside you, ever. So essentially, that's why when I put on the bags, I'm beating these guys at the line. They have to kind of understand, hey, like,
I get it.
Get it. You know what I'm saying? Come inside, like you said, in these little details, one step, getting in and out of your break, being able to kind of have the leverage at the line, being able to find your center of gravity, being able to know your stance, being able to know when to break out your stance, being able to know when to go 5 to 7 instead of 6 to 8, being able to read the zone, being able to read the cover
so much
2.
Little shit, right? So
all
much
the little yeah, go ahead.
That's all. So much little shit, and then it's all put together. But it's hard, right? So you have to be detail oriented because there's so many little things to focus on.
100%. Now let's talk about, because you know what, you said you're the only linebackers coach, right? At City. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, yesterday's guest, LeVon Kirkland, right, all-time great, consecutive starts leader for the NFL at left inside linebacker. Now for you, pretty much you're coaching all linebackers. That means the Mike and the Wills and the inside and the outsides.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your scheme and talk to me about the challenges you've encountered coaching, both kind of getting all and the best of both worlds, for your,
okay.
For your
so we run a base 4-2-5, and with that, I have a Mike, Sam, Will.
Yeah.
Our Mike and Sam is more of our, kind of stocky, steady linebacker guys. Our Will backer is our safety hybrid kind of guy. He's going to be out in space more often. So I would like for this guy to be able to cover the flats. I'm big on covering flats. I don't want no one running outside on us.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to change directions, cover flats, got to be able to man up sometimes, brush from the edge. So, challenge from that is, me not having maybe all the technical DB knowledge as, say, Coach Wink would, our other DB coach, Coach Cook. There would be some different techniques that we probably can use in some situations in terms of how to defend somebody. So that's something where I need to probably come together with Coach Wink and Coach Cook and be like, okay, well, how can we line up here in these situations? There's certain situations.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, base 4-2-5, we come out in multiple D, like short yardage situations, we'll come out in a bear look, or 3-5 against some past teams. We like to blitz and slant a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. It's funny because that's a LeVon side. He's like in college, the transition was like he was an outside guy, so he'd be the hype guy, energy, celebrating, and kind of moving around. But then when he basically transitioned to inside, he got drafted. Basically he had to learn kind of to be higher IQ, right? Because inside you got to kind of know you're basically the QB of the defense. You know what I mean? So kind of talk to me about that with working with your guys and kind of working that base 4-2-5. How, like, you know what I mean? Because it sounds like, you're kind of thin in the middle a little bit, right? I mean, depending on kind of how you're dropping back in coverage.
What? I was very blessed to have a very, very set of talented linebackers, from Mike, Sam, and Will, all the way down. All my guys are pretty good and, all bought in. But our captain, our Mike backer, he ended up getting first team all conference, all region, possibly all state. And that's pretty cool. He's a hell of a player. He's a great guy.
Drop that name.
The whole team loves him.
Drop that name for the listeners. Drop that name for the listeners.
Billy Yami Shanko, man. Shout out Yami, man. Big 43. If you went to the San Jose City game and you saw 4-3 tear some stuff up, man, you know who he is.
Yeah.
My Will linebacker, Ray Sean Conti. He's a fast dude from Florida. He got a motor. He loves to hit people too. And then my Sam backer, he was a special guy too. Chris Perungao, 5'4". He led the conference in tackles, or was top 3 in tackles most of the year.
Whew.
5'4", man. Yeah.
Jeez.
He could move. He would cover. He would be able to go under linemen, get down and skinny when he wants to blitz. He would go blow up pulling guards and have them buckle on their knees. Dude, all my guys were awesome. But, everyone slept on Chris P. He was also a first team all conference selection.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah. So first team all conference, Mike and Sam. And man, so I had it pretty good this year.
Yeah,
they were all very coachable guys. They were all, popular guys, and fuck, they like to smack somebody in the mouth. I love that.
I love that. Yeah. So it sounds like kind of with that talent pool, you didn't have to really repeat things. I mean, because if they're buying in, and they're pretty much, they know their assignments. They kind of know exactly, what to anticipate. It sounds like it was a little bit easier, you know what I mean? Versus like,
I feel like I was a little spoiled this year, but each person had their own set of things that I would have to constantly remind them about.
Sure.
One guy would be, just read a little bit faster, because now they know that you're going to come make the tackle every play. So they're just going to send somebody right at you.
Yeah.
So don't wait. You need to step as soon as they step. And, he did that a little bit, picked up his motor, and he was fine. Another guy, you need to move. Your feet are slow. You're getting beat, an inside gap. So, that was something I worked on with, another certain guy, or going out and covering guys in the slot. Everyone had their own little thing that we had to constantly, work on.
That's awesome. You know what I mean? Because obviously, when you kind of, again, and that's that back to the whole kind of philosophy and psychology of coaching, right? You kind of have to identify the strengths and weaknesses of your individual players, and you have to tailor an approach for each one of those individual players, right?
As well as kind of fit them in the skill sets to fit the philosophy too, right?
Exactly. Identify what their skill sets are and how are they going to fit in your scheme, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially that can be make or break basically for your entire defense, right? Because when you can, I think good coaching. It sounds like to me, I'm speaking to a good coach right now. It sounds like
I'm learning from a good staff, man.
Yeah, I know now, and now we can actually get a Coach Wink and kind of now that you actually work with him and kind of you obviously Coach Cook, right? You mentioned for the DBs. How has it been now actually having one full season together under your belt, and basically finishing 500 as opposed to going 0-10. I mean, that's to me that's a huge improvement.
3-7, unfortunately. So I like your record better though.
3-7. Yeah. Hey, still 2 wins. 2 wins can again make or break by 500. Yeah. That's the difference between guys getting looks, between D2s and D3s, and and sometimes D1s, depending right on the talent. I mean, I remember in 2008 we had Jerome Meadows, and he led our comp. Yeah, you remember him. Yeah. He went to Cal. Yep. See, yeah. So I mean, you already know, 13 sacks, whatever it was, something fucking insane.
Yeah. I never got to play with the dude, but I ended up being buddies with him. He'd come around here and there, and
that's awesome.
And check in. So I got to meet him. That was a pretty cool dude.
Yeah. No, I mean that 08. Oh, dude. That 08 team was just loaded. We had him at backer. We had Manu, right? As
Manu at safety.
Yeah, and
then
we had
Larry Licati at receiver. I played high school ball. I grew up playing football at Larry Licati since youth football.
Dude,
who else? Yeah, he had a bunch of guys. Ben Tautolo.
Yep.
My boy Tristan Coleman was in that linebacker mix too.
Yeah.
Cameron Payne, another guy I played with. There were some good dudes on that team, man.
Yeah, no, just raw talent. And that also helped me develop as a player. You know what I mean? Because Coach Dove, that was his last season. My first season playing was Coach Dove's last season. I received.
You got good coaching, man.
I mean, you want to talk about spoiled? all the names you listed, and then that's my coach and James Jones, and these guys are coming during our spring ball. Like, dude,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, now perfect. So kind of talk to me about kind of the spring ball transition, without pads, right? And then kind of getting to summer, kind of 1 or 2 days, and then how you guys kind of, how that transition was,
We were actually, since we did not get a spring season, we were actually allowed to have a few padded practices.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we got a few of those, and then had a period off. And then later on in the summer, we were able to throw the pads on. I feel like the speed was a little bit faster than normal. We had our things going for us.
Yeah.
Because there was less of a transition. And, a lot of guys that, they did that just, a few months ago.
Yeah.
Opposed to like 8 or 9, like usual, you pack them up in November and then you don't get them until August. Because JUCO ball don't get padded practices out here during the off season like that.
Right.
Unless it's like summer camp.
Right. Exactly.
So,
and that's why I asked, because for me it was non-padded during spring, and then when summer camp.
Yeah, I never had padded practices when I played either.
Yeah, so because obviously we play at the same time, so it's like I mean for us that's where I was from. That's why I want to ask, was there that I was assuming that there was that, but that's pretty cool that they allowed you guys to kind of suit up a few times.
Yeah.
Spring.
Yeah. Well, it was the whole COVID situation made this whole timeline so weird. They were talking about us having a spring season like a lot of the local high schools did. That didn't happen. So at least we got some kind of work in. I know some guys got better from that and they got some experience. So I think there were some certain guys that I had, especially that benefited from that and were able to get a little bit more playing time than, maybe they would have without the experience.
Yeah.
So, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? I mean, again, it's one more added bonus, to get your guys ready and just, make sure that they're in playing shape. It's funny we're talking about this, and I keep drawing back to mine and kind of your experience when we played, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, like I think we talked about my whole thing, high school, and then you obviously took a year off before you started playing JUCO, between high
Yeah.
school and
Mhm.
city. So, right, I mean, it's like I feel like it kind of helped me to kind of work on doing weight training the fall my senior year, and kind of get some advice from the coaches, because that would help prepare me at least mentally, to
Mhm.
kind of it didn't really prepare me, honestly, because I mean, like you said, when you get to JUCO, it's like everyone is just the talent pool is so saturated. You have the all stars of each one of the high schools, like what you had, and then you have to
Mhm.
kind of compete to just get on the field.
Yeah.
And obviously, for me, that's why I play special teams, which is fine. I mean, I knew my limitations, I knew my abilities, and to your point about fitting in this
You're
team.
bringing back good memories, man. Shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's what we're talking about. The reason why we're effective, or why you are especially effective as a coach, is because of your experiences as a player and those lessons and principles instilled in your playing career. And kind of reminiscing that can also help you when you coach your guys. At least for me, that's what helped me when I was coaching high school a couple years ago. Like,
Mhm.
basically, like I said, I've seen this. Now for you, when you see this, when what I mean? Hey, like, boom, this is what you gotta do, right? And
Mhm.
essentially that's kind of the same thing, that because, like, like, yeah, when we played, it's it was for me, it was kind of just understanding that, hey, like, being ready, at any given moment. And when I took that first hit, dude, I was like, oh my god, and that to kind of get up, just what I mean, because I took it straight in the gut. I did not like
Uh-huh.
I basically went straight up, right? I caught the ball, and then the dude, like, DB, was right, like, I forgot, 35. I'll never forget, 35. He was right there, took an angle, bam. I'm just like, oh.
Uh-huh.
And so, but it helps build character. It helps it helps you understand, kind
It
of
does,
what you're
right?
gonna have to,
You
yeah.
get
And
back up, you toughen up a little bit, right? You either toughen up or you buckle up. You don't play no more.
And to that point, toughen up or buckle up. So that's the thing. Another guest of the show, Alex Changum, who's now in the Seahawks. He's a practice squad linebacker right now. He basically said in April, when he was on, he basically said that if you don't love football, like when you play at the 4 year at the higher levels, for any prospect or student athletes out there listening, right? If you play at the 4 year or you play at the 2 year, it doesn't matter. When you get the spring and when you get the summer and fall camp with pad practices, if you don't love it, that fall, that summer and that fall will be extremely difficult for you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Mhm.
I
And you
think
might not even last. You really got to love this thing.
you really do. I mean, and obviously for you now, obviously been coaching for however many years, like, I think it's understanding that, you got to just make sure you relay that message to the guy. You don't want to force anyone out, or you don't want to say, hey, like, like, don't do this. But I remember Coach Wink told me and told us, like, before our first game, he said, a lot of you guys are just here because you think it's cool to play football, you know? And essentially you're going to learn really quickly that, hey, this isn't for you. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those things. Like, if you're really going to be in this, if you're really going to want to pursue this, regardless of your playing experience, regardless of your abilities, and that's why a lot of guys just drop it. But for me,
Yeah.
it's just my passion never stopped. That's why I was able to, keep going. Here we are, right? And here you
Same
are,
here.
right?
Mhm.
Exactly. Here you are, and
Mhm.
the impact you're having on these young guys' lives. I mean, it's awesome. It's really amazing.
I appreciate that, man. I hope I'm, making some kind of difference. Because I could just think of what the coaches, that I had, what they did for me.
Yeah.
Shout out Coach CJ, especially. He was my D coordinator. He was a guy that made my tape from scratch.
Awesome.
Uh, and I was essentially a nobody. I was way off the radar, when I was playing at City, because I didn't come from a big high school either.
Yeah.
And I was a walk-on to a JUCO too
Yeah.
after a year off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who the hell is this kid? They used to call me Evergreen.
Yeah.
But I worked my way up and I got myself out. And then I remember when I started my summer camp, Coach CJ sent me something in the mail, and it was a little card. He's the D coordinator at Grossmont College now, down in
Oh, he's on
SoCal.
Grossmont down SoCal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
He sent me little things like, I'm proud of you, man. Hope you make a big difference in these kids' lives. And he sent me a little San Jose City outfit that he had, in his closet for a long time, and that really meant a lot to me. Just to be at this point now and have my coach still support me. He did his thing. He impacted my life. And so I really hope I'm doing that. Like you're saying, I hope I'm doing that with all my players.
100%. No, obviously, shout out to Coach CJ. Shout out to all the coaches who have helped build us, and now obviously helped us help inspire
Mhm.
us to relay those same lessons to the guys, who you're now coaching.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And obviously to that, I think now I want to get more into the mechanics of kind of the schemes, right? Because I think you mentioned you guys do. I mean, do you have like a zone backing scheme, or kind of what is that? What does that 4-2-5 entail? Kind of more intrinsically in terms of kind of whatever type of like against the spread against the.
You got a Deanza coach coming up soon. I can't get into details.
Okay, yeah, it's good.
Because
I
know they're out for revenge.
Oh, you beat them.
I beat them. Yeah, we beat them. That one meant I was so happy to have us beat them that game because we played them in 2009 for conference and we lost, and that was a rivalry game. And oh man, that one made me sick forever.
Blew us out 44-0. I will never
really?
forget that game. No, because we went 0-10 that year, West Valley, right? And so 2009, and so they blew us out. They blew us out. I mean, and Kevin Vi, who was their quarterback, he was the all-conference MVP.
He was a good player too.
Yeah,
I didn't know him personally, but I knew the name.
Yeah, no, he was on the show last year. So basically, I mean, we kind of talked about his experience and how he was able to go to the pros and play in Europe, and I mean, he's phenomenal, right? And so I just remember, I think it was like 7th the same passing QBR or everything like that. But I mean, I remember you guys were kind of just up there neck and neck, with them, and yeah, I mean, I think you guys beat us too. That's why they cut the program. The program wasn't really, it wasn't Coach Wink's fault. You know what I mean? I just think it was just, and it wasn't necessarily the coach's fault. It wasn't. I mean, I don't know about if it's accountable on the players, but sometimes, if you don't have if you're not getting the top guys, right, it's kind of hard to kind of, maintain consistency. Not saying that, it's all about talent, but you do need, like, to your point about the all-stars, the guys you coach, the 3 all-conference selections, you do need kind of, that level of, of talent, because when I went from City in 08 to West Valley in 09, I could see the difference, But I mean, I still appreciated the experience, because, hey, for me, it doesn't really matter. I'm just getting out there, getting my feet wet, and the rest is history. And so I think, kind of, to the point of, getting that revenge and kind of, again, build memories, right? It's kind of nice to kind of get that.
That's a great first game to coach for me. Yeah. It was really, I was real happy.
That was the opener.
That was the opener. So, that was big for me personally as a Jaguar.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, why don't we talk through each game of the season? Let's start from the top. So you open your season at De Anza. You beat them. What was the final score for that game?
It was 38-14.
Okay. Okay. You beat them.
We just had everything rolling that day, man. And I think everyone was just excited to go out. And I know I was excited as hell, and I was ready to coach, Yeah. Too many Zoom meetings, man. And, it was so fun to be out there. Man, there's so much football. I don't even remember the order of my games. I don't know if we played Yuba next. Who the hell did we play second? I would literally have to look at the schedule. That's cool. I couldn't tell you scores. I forgot who we played. I forgot the damn scores.
But you have the memorable milestone wins. Kind of, what did you see in that SJCC win from your guys? Did you see anything special from any of your guys, particularly because you mentioned kind of your 3 all-conference selections?
Our sophomores, man, they were excited, and they had every right to be excited. I know they came back in the year before. They were in part of the 0-10 team, and I know it is hard to come back after a season like that. I know that has to drain a lot of life out of you and love for the game, but not for these guys. These guys were warriors, man. Yeah. They came out and they got that win that they deserved. And so to get that, I think that really had a big jump in confidence for them individually, and they all came together, and, those are our leaders. And so to get more wins on the board, man, but I think just winning that game was a great kickstart to our season for us as a program and for them. Shout out to all our sophomores. I think all of them are getting scholarship offers right now.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I believe 14, I think we had 14, 15. They're all getting looks somewhere. Yeah. So awesome. I'm real happy for these guys, man. That's coming from adversity right there, right? That's, a terrible, worst of the worst ending that you wouldn't imagine, just losing every game that you trained for during the off season. And then you come back and, you start off with something good and then maybe a little hiccup. I think we lost week 2. And all right, no, that's all right. We won the first game. We can get this right. Coming back, winning again. And we went back and forth for a little bit. And then a little bit of a losing streak during the year. I think we lost 4 or 5 in a row. Some close games, and then one game we just blew. But some tough, resilient sophomores, man. And I think that 0-10 freshman season, was really what kind of made them want this. They had a choice to keep playing or to go somewhere else or even quit the game, and they didn't. They just they took this opportunity to lead, and I think they did a very good job of that, man. And then for them to all get looked at right now, even the guys that weren't even big time starters, guys that were more role players, they did their thing, man, and they did it enough to get looked at. So I'm real proud of all of them, man.
100%. No, and I think obviously, to the point of, the sophomores coming together as a unit, right? I think, that's really kind of what sets, good teams apart from great teams, or subpar, even, sub 500 teams from losing teams, right? So I think, essentially, just seeing that improvement and seeing that buy-in, I think is really important. I think ultimately when you kind of see that tells you as a coach that, what your message is being bought in. And kind of what was Wink's, because obviously, Wink, because you remember we asked on last year, you basically, Wink hasn't had that much success, right? At the program, this and that. But FASG 500 is something huge, to build on, especially, in light of the pandemic. And so kind of what was the kind of the tone, the morale of kind of like Wink and the coaching staff?
Everybody loves Coach Wink. Everyone respects him. Everyone listens to Coach, and he's funny, man. He's, like I said last year, he just like will give you one little quick joke, and we'll be in a team meeting, and all the guys would be, they'll chuckle, but I may be in the corner just laughing my ass off. Wow, this is really funny, you guys.
Yeah.
But no, when he's serious though, he is so on point. I love everything that Coach Wink has done. What I really love is just how he handles all special teams practice periods. When the bell rings and it's special team, coaches, players, you better not fuck around. Don't fuck around.
Love it.
When he gives you that blue-eyed glare, I'll see that. I'll get intimidated with Coach Wink. He's funny and he can be, silly, but he's also he's one of those respectable coaches because he's real, he got everything just down. He has everything down, from practice plans to helping us, learn about recruiting. I'll come text him. I bug him all day long, asking like, what can I do? What can I not do? And, down to coaches meetings at the end of the year, or, when things were bad, we had a losing streak during the season and we had a bad practice, and he sent us in the coach's room, and, we had to settle, figure some things out and get some things right. I think Coach Wink is a great leader for this program. And although we only had 3 wins this year, I fully believe that him and the coaching staff that he's put together and all the guys that he's had to buy in, we're going to turn this thing around, man.
Absolutely.
He is the perfect leader for this team. And I love Coach. I've learned a lot from him already just 1 year.
Talk to me about what the most important lesson actually, before we do that, let me touch on your point about special teams practices. I think you remember what I said last year. What did he tell me? Kids like, Oz, you're basically a walk-on, you have no film. Your opportunity is going to be special teams. And what he said to everyone after practice, special teams wins games.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I don't know why, but that was like the most important message I took away from Coach. I think that's what helped me build this, this entire career. And, I think Coach Wink doesn't get enough credit for the little details that we talked about, so is that kind of your impression too? Is he like, kind of, just kind of not just the morale, but kind of his attention to the minute details? I think because for me, when we're doing special teams practices, kind of the concept of gunning, jamming, lane integrity, right? When you're just, for kickoff, being the exactly, So kind of talk to me about that a little bit.
I think Coach is getting all the credit he deserves. Everyone knows, this is. We all think that he's doing everything right to make this program go around, and picking it up from the bottom and everything that he's done already. Oh yeah, he's really laying this foundation down.
Absolutely. That's perfect. That's perfect segue now. All right. So now we talked about kind of your guys' season, your success, your scholarship athletes. What are you anticipating now coming into 2022 for the San City College football program?
The same thing that the freshmen had before we came, the 0-10 guys, with that hunger and desire to do better. I really, really feel that in these freshmen now, going 3-7 and losing those really close games, and those games that got away that, we may be up, we're up against Foothill 7-6 at halftime. Then we just blew it and lost by 21, I think, just some real small plays. just for them to see that, and I'll hear them grumble to me like, Coach, we're so much better than this. I'm tired of losing by 1 or 2 plays. They all, I anticipate that same hunger that the sophomores this year had from these guys as they become our new sophomores and leaders. And so that motivation is like right there, up high. And what a great energy that is, because all these young guys coming in now, they are going to get taught by the same dudes that just went through a rough time, but they're still bought in. You know what I mean? This isn't a losing program where guys are tired of losing, and it's, we're not going about losing ways. I have guys texting me, what can I do to get better? Or what kind of drill, all my guys are still watching film sometimes. All these guys want to win. So I anticipate us winning or doing what we can to be in more positions to win.
To that point, kind of the close games and everything like that, when I was coaching at Whitney, the reason why we finished 0-10 was kind of, we also had leads in close games, but those little details, like you said, those little critical, that's the difference between winning by 1 or losing by 21, like you had against Foothill,
Yep.
And I think kind of sounds like you're gonna pay, and I think you brought this up earlier too. Paying attention to the details are kind of, it's gonna be easier for your sophomores who are gonna be returning, because now they have a full season under the belt, a full season, a full year exposed to the defensive scheme, a
Same
full
coaching staff all around too.
And exactly, coaching staff's returning, not that much turnover. Because in JUCO, that's the biggest thing, right? It's not necessarily recruiting or the town or getting the guys. It's just the familiarity, right? And kind of that's the cohesion, because it's almost like every year it's a new team.
Yeah.
So.
And then shout out to Coach Longoria, our D coordinator. Yeah. He's a real guy that's really keeps us on our toes and making sure that we're following every single detail and correcting all that. Us as a defensive staff, learning from him. Coach Longoria, by the way, he's been in the semi-pro game for a lot of years. He's played, he's coached. I played against him. I've coached for him. I've been playing in the same defense that we're teaching now for like the past 6 years, in semi-pro. So this whole scheme is like, it's the same words, it's the same wristband, shit. Coach Longoria, just shout out to him, man. He's a hell of a coach. I've learned a lot when I was coaching, when I was getting coached by him and now coaching with him. And then Coach Eddie Brown too. He's our D-line coach, played at San Jose State back in the days. He's a Texas guy. Us all coming back and being in semi-pro and knowing each other for, a number amount of years. I work a day job and a night job with Coach Brown, so we have a lot of chemistry. And so I think it's easier too to kind of talk details with these guys, because there's camaraderie and there's a good rapport here. So, everything is set, man. I feel like everything is so set for us to do great things. And now we just gotta do this shit, man.
Just gonna do it. You know what I mean?
We just gotta do it.
Just gotta do it, So, with that said, I think we have roughly 10 minutes left. Kind of what else you planning for the New Year's? Obviously, you're now there's 3 members of the Carbajal family. Kind of what are you kind of anticipating, personally off the gridiron?
Well, I mean, I got 8-month-old boys that are already like crawling themselves up on their fence and standing up on their feet. So I'm anticipating a lot of walking.
Yeah.
Some bumped heads. A lot of tears, some more diapers for a little longer. But, I'm going to be learning a lot as a person, just watching my kids grow. Not just one kid now, but having 2 more. I'm learning so much. So I anticipate just a lot of growth personally. A lot of good memories with my family. My lady is a great mother to these kids, and she's taken on my daughter, as like a good stepmother, and she's been awesome. I have just like City, man, I got a great foundation at home. I say everything is good right now. It's just, it's hard to time manage, and sometimes parenting can get a little overwhelming, waking up, 5-6 times a night. But you got to do it with love, man. And so I got to anticipate a lot of love too.
100%. Yeah. My sister's here with my nephew, and we're celebrating his 2nd birthday. And
nice.
So I'm pretty excited. We're gonna celebrate tomorrow. Cool. That's kind of it though. I've kind of seen it firsthand, kind of how much of a sacrifice and a challenge it is. Obviously the sleep is one thing, but also just kind of, you know, being kind of there present, because, you know,
Get
there's
a
so much energy.
haircut or whatever
Yeah.
those are called. Groom yourself.
Yeah. You know, and so and I think, you know, to your point, you know, it's just kind of instilling those, kind of getting them, you know, just make sure you're there, and also make sure you're doing love, and make sure that
Mm-hmm.
there's compassion and compassion, empathy, you know, with you
Yeah.
know, same thing with
Compassion.
players.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm. I feel that especially with my 3-year-old now that she's getting old and experiencing all these emotions and frustrations, and she's able to verbalize it now. Yes, empathy.
And how is that, right?
Hey, I mean, I think I do. I think everything's all right. She's a good little girl.
That's
She's so
awesome.
smart and brilliant. I hear her crying right now because she's waking up. But yeah,
Hope.
man. So more of that coming up this year. Personally, I'm trying to get into school. I'm in school. I'm starting at the end of the month. I'm trying to get my master's in special education so I can move up and get an actual teacher job at my school.
Nice.
I gotta make moves like you, man. I gotta have all these, little letters behind my name like you.
Yes, sir. Hey, you know, I mean, you will someday. You okay? Well,
I
I mean,
will.
me.
Look at that. Flex that
Yeah.
real quick.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You already
Yes,
know.
sir. Woo.
Yes, I love it.
These
You know
little
what?
stars and Mickey Mouse stickers are gonna be replaced with this
All
guy's
that.
certificates too. Watch.
Yes, sir. I
And this
can't wait.
dude's.
Yes,
And this
sir.
dude.
And that dude. You know, and that's exactly it. You know, I mean, the beautiful thing of kind of, for me, having this platform, and, you know, and you know, I really enjoy kind of, you know, obviously, you know, reconnecting with you after 1 year, Coach, because just being able to kind of, you know, see what our goals are, right? Because obviously, you know, the reason why the podcast was rebranded as digitally dreaming off the gridiron, it's not just kind of what, I mean, a huge focus of it is kind of what we do, right? You know, on the gridiron, whether it's coaching, whether it's playing, whatever it is, right? Doing what we can to influence and give back to the game. But
Mhm.
what we're doing off of it is just as important, you know, and that to me
Mhm.
is kind of a big thing. I'm glad you highlighted that, because now for New Year's resolutions, like, you know, that's exactly, you know, kind of my approach. You know, it's like the principles of football and the principles of kind of, you know, being there and being able to go 100% and never quitting. That's what helped me. That was what propelled me to get to where I am today in my actual career. You know what I mean? And taking a break from social media for the past 8 months basically helped me kind of really hone in on my career to now where I'm not necessarily just interviewing people on podcasts. I'm actually being invited to be interviewed and to speak, right, on my expertise in my field in technology and digital and agile and scrum and all those different software development frameworks, right? So I think, to me personally, that to me is the most fulfilling thing. And when I'm able to get and still, you know, bring back, you know, kind of, or bring in new players, right, such as Levon Kirkland, Marcus Ogden,
Legends, yeah.
legends, right? And just kind of talk to them about their experiences. It
Mhm.
helps me kind of, you know, it helps me kind of it resonates with me a little bit more, because it's not just what you did as a football player, it's what you're doing after you're playing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
sir. And you can see there's a direct correlation between some of these rules that you apply in football to life, right?
you
Attention to
know,
details, attention to details.
it's so crazy you said that, and it drove me crazy when I used to work in Chicago for Blue Cross Blue Shield 3 years ago, because 4 years ago now, my director would always tell me, attention to detail. The CIO is going to see your PowerPoint presentation, and if there's
You're like, what
one
are
thing,
you, fucking football coach?
yeah, exactly. Like, and I'd be like, why the fuck does this shit matter? Right? I'm just like, this isn't. It's a fucking PowerPoint slide. And then I realize now the skills which I gained working on that intensively visible PowerPoint deck translated to my career now. You know, not only, you know, I'm speaking, but also my actual day-to-day job. You know, and I think
Now you're making moves because you're applying these rules.
you're applying these rules, applying these skills, applying, and like you said, the skill set and the
It makes
fit.
making moves easier, right?
It definitely does. And to that point about kind of the skill set and the fit, right? I realize certain things I am not good at, and I don't, or maybe I'm good at, but I don't prefer to it, and kind of what I am great at. And that's what helped me build my actual career now after playing football, you know, in the technology domain. Now, to the point of kind of, kind of I guess, you know, just being able to really hone in on the kind of what it is, right? Sometimes it takes, I mean, for anyone listening, sometimes it takes a few times. When I had Marcus Ogden a few days ago, if you guys haven't listened to it, check it out, episode 53. He tried to do the business thing after he retired from the league, after he played in the AIF like me. No, actually me like him, because he came first. But I mean, all right. But essentially, kind of, you know, when we talked about it, essentially from his perspective, right? He had all the skills, he had the knowledge, he had the know-how, but essentially certain things just didn't work. So what he had to figure out, you know, he hit rock bottom and he was almost going bankrupt because he basically had to take a job coaching, but also as a janitor, because the coaching gig wasn't paying his bills, right? he basically figured out, hey, like, okay, like, I think that I can be an inspiration. I can, rebuild my brand and start, now he's a keynote speaker. His podcast is over 30,000 listeners on Listen Notes. And like, he just goes around to speeches too, kind of like, and that's why we connected because, and hearing his story is so amazing because like you said, the parallels. When I had LeVon Kirk on yesterday, he talked about faking it till you make it. Because when he got into the league, when he was from the outside, and you had to learn how to play inside, he just basically had to like, pretend he knew what he was doing and just until he actually got it. And that's also translatable in the professional life, right? That's a parallel because a lot of times we have a job position that we're targeting, right? We have a different kind of, we want to kind of, upgrade. And what he said to me when I said, yeah, that's how I was able to get to where I am today. He also said, yeah, he's like, essentially, if you're targeting a role, even if you're not in that role, if you drive the perception that you are that person, you are that position that you're aiming for, aspiring for, it'll materialize. If you may not be that person right now, but it will materialize. You know what I mean? And I think that to me is the most important thing, right? Because football, sometimes you may not know the scheme off the bat. Sometimes you may not know what you're doing, what the fuck you're doing, But if you're able to figure that out and you're able to kind of, just kind of roll with it and and then learn it, right? Then you'll eventually it'll resonate in your career life too. It'll resonate. It will teach you mental toughness. It'll teach you fortitude, and it'll help you become that much better in light of any adversity that you face.
So. And I think approaching it like that too is taking it in with a little bit of confidence in yourself, and which is kind of what you need to do when you're doing something, right? Is
100%.
kind of believe in yourself to do that, or believe that you either know it so it comes to existence, or believe that you can do it, right? And I think football wise, play to play, if I could flip this back to the field, if I think I'm going to mess up on this crucial play, I'm probably not going to make this play.
Right.
But if I know I can do this and I want to go get his ass, it's going to make it a lot more easier for it to come to fruition there, right?
Yeah. And to that point, LeVon said yesterday, like the coach of Clemson said that you have what it takes to be the greatest linebacker in Clemson history, right? And then he basically said, then I realized, yeah, I can. He said he mentally accepted it, and then everything else just fell into place. You know what I mean? But to your point, if you're mentally defeated, football is 90 to 95% mental. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? And you know why, right? Because if you have the right mindset and you have the right approach and you prepare correctly mentally, the physicality shit will follow like that, because your mind takes where your mind goes, your body follows, right? And I think to your point about kind of, knowing kind of just little things, whatever it's in the play, the scheme, and being able to believe yourself and have that self-confidence, right? If you're able to prove that you are that, that capable, right? Even if you can't prove it immediately, but you continue working through the adversity, like how I did, right? I was cut how many times, right? My career, I've switched, and here I am now, right? Essentially, it will materialize into what you want it to be. Not always, depending on situations, right? I'm not gonna say that's for everyone, but for the majority, if you have the time, the talent, and the heart and the work ethic, it will become.
You will make it happen. Yes, sir.
Make it happen.
It's all mental. It is 90% mental, like you said.
Yeah.
Always. Breaking it down to even prepping yourself to doing something, to signing up for school, or to motivate yourself for this live.
That's simple. Yeah.
All on your mind, man. You're right.
All in the mind.
So believe in yourself, everyone who's listening. Believe in yourself, no matter how hard it is.
Yes, sir.
If I can do it, if he can do it. We're two football guys that were not football guys originally, right?
Correct.
Now look at us. I like to say I'm somewhat of a football guy. I still love this stuff. I still try to play it right. You're doing your thing.
Yeah.
If you believe it, you can make something happen with it.
100%, brother. Yes, sir. The Coach Carbajal just said it best. And let's see. Is there anything else I want to cover before we sign off? Let me think. Well, the 49ers. What do you think is going to happen this weekend and next weekend?
Oh, man. Are you going to be mad at me right now? I get so wrapped up in my own city stuff. When it becomes Sunday, I'm like, I don't want to watch no football.
Exactly. No. Okay.
I watch zero NFL ball. I finished third in my fantasy, though. I'll take it. I should have won, but Kelsey was on that COVID list. I was mad.
Yeah.
I want my money back, I guess. But I watched so little NFL ball. Sundays I was always spending my time on my iPad watching film, and I had to, grade every play. I was grading my linebackers every play and giving them a score and kind of give them overall score so we can try to get them better.
Yeah.
So doing all that was tedious.
It really is. And to your point, you have to really, if you want to be great in the coaching and kind of really have an impact, you do have to put the extra time in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like we talk about, for career goals, outside of football, right? You got to put the time in. You got to kind of make sure you invest and immerse yourself in whatever it is you're pursuing, right? So that's why I was able to restart this, and use LinkedIn, because like we talked about, man, like the reason why I have all the accolades in one wall, because it's all building blocks, right? And the reason why is because there's incremental process delivery, there's incremental process to kind of get to a point of mastery, right? And when you get to that level of mastery, then you can apply it to your point of coaching, right? Putting in the work to really master it.
Takes a lot of hours, right?
Right. Yes. Good. Sorry.
That's it. It takes a lot of hours.
It takes a lot of hours, but it's worth it. And to your point, and you know what? Now that you brought up, I'm going to be also admitting to all my listeners out there, I did not watch every game this year of the Niners. I watched, and
we're football guys. We just said,
yeah. But but I mean, when I could watch, I did. I watch games here and there whenever I went out, and obviously, when they snapped that lose streak and they got to 3-4, and it was great. You know what I mean? I mean, now they're in 7. They're right now they're the 6th seed. So if they can win the Sunday, great.
Let's go get it.
Yeah, let's go get it. You know what I mean? I'm a little nervous because Trey Lance, I've seen enough of him this year to say that he is not. I don't think he's ready for this big of a stage. Because now in the final 2 games of the season, we're in a playoff push mode. I mean, Jimmy's gonna be gone after this year. I mean, I saw his first start live in Chicago when I moved there 4 years ago, and against the Bears, and he won. But I mean, it's become obvious he's not the guy. You know what I mean? Just he's not available. He's too injury prone. Trey Lance is in a situation now where he can either thrive or he can hit rock bottom, because you're in a position. I mean, maybe Trey's playing with house money because no one really expects him to do well, but he is still the 3rd overall pick. So there is some level of expectation for him to deliver, especially with the team, with the talent we have, on both sides of the ball. So Debo's a Pro Bowler, Kittle, another Pro Bowler, he has Eli, in the backfield. So, I mean, we're going to see how it all pans out. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how it pans out. So, I mean, I'm hoping for the best.
I have to watch tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll try. I said I'll try to watch. I'm hoping, for the best. But I mean, I'm also realistic. Kind of, with my experience, both in the arena and semi-pro JUCO. Like, it's just like I don't know. I mean, I want to believe he's the future, but I have to see it to believe it. So we'll see.
That's how it goes, huh?
That's how it goes. So, anyways, any last thoughts from you, Coach? For anyone out there, anything?
Well, I appreciate being on with you again. I appreciate everyone who took the time and to listen and watch, and hope you enjoyed. And for real, just keep doing what you want to do. And if you want to do it, you might as well go as hard as you can, and that entails being ready up here, being confident up here, and following every detail and knowing why you do stuff, why you're doing the things you're doing to make it happen. So just make it happen, guys.
Words of wisdom, words of encouragement, words of motivation that are going to resonate through 2022. Coach, thank you for your time today. A great season. Congratulations. Looking forward to the next season. Wishing you and your family a very happy, healthy New Year's. And one of these days we're going to link up so I can bust your ass on the field when I throw my arm. Like you remember. Me and Manu are going to basically.
You know what? I'm a little rusty, but I got my spring season coming, so I got to get my feet right soon, man.
You remember last year I said that I'm not throwing. I was like, oh, actually I wasn't throwing. I was like, okay, if I'm ever gonna get back out there and play slot again, I'm gonna go across the middle. Then you said, oh, like now you're going both ways, and so you say I'm gonna be inside and outside. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna try that. I'll stick behind the pocket and just launch it. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, okay, cool.
All right, find me a receiver. I'll see if I can cover him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Hey, brother, thank you so much for your time, man. Again, Happy New Year's. Everyone, Coach Carbajal, you can follow him on LinkedIn, follow him on Twitter, follow him on Instagram, follow him on Facebook. San Jose City College. You can follow the football program at sjcc.edu/football. Coach, thank you for your time, and all the best, brother. Blessings and peace in the
Thank
new
you,
year.
man. I appreciate you. Happy New Year to you as well, and to everyone else.
Definitely, man. Take care.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right.